Role-playing games are one of the most popular styles of video games out there. The genre sees dozens of releases a year, and millions of dollars in revenue. The concept has existed since the inception of gaming, but the genre saw a massive surge of popularity with the release of Skyrim in 2011, and a major resurgence in 2015 due to the release and resounding success of The Witcher 3.
Nice.
More games than ever before sought to replicate the open world, inventory, and skill point-driven style of gameplay. Many, though, of the would-be copycats ended up flopping as they failed to capture the essence of what made the aforementioned successes so unique and captivating. Since then, the genre has been on a downward trend. Recently, I've even seen the phrase open world fatigue thrown around due to the public's recurring disappointment. Many people would be quick to claim that the 2011 to 15 era was the best RPGs have ever seen, which I'm sure is true to an extent. The examples I mentioned generated unimaginable revenue and ensured their studios a place on the AAA map. Though some, like myself, claim that even these prime examples of successful RPG games miss the mark, and shadow the possibility of what an RPG can truly be. RPGs in general tend to boil down the concept until the definition of RPG no longer stands for role-playing game. Rather, modern development tends to drift towards what I see and define as character-playing game, where you have a character, obviously that being a specific person you control, and you're meant to just play the character however you'd like. Drawbacks are kept to a minimum so the player can constantly see improvement in their skills, and consequence is boiled out of the pot altogether. Worst case scenario, in failure, you're simply met with a loading screen and a retry. In a true role-playing game, your character would have a specific set of ideals and a comprehensive assessment of morality. But the best RPGs leave room for you to write your own story, so your character can be whoever you want them to be. You can boil this down to playing good and bad characters. I'm playing a good guy, so I'm gonna save the princess. Well, I'm playing a bad guy, so I'm gonna kill her. Jesus, dude, are you okay? No. Role-playing is about stepping into your character's mind, not their shoes. It's not about running around in their body doing whatever fills your heart's content. It's about asking how a specific person who is your character, with a specific backstory and livelihood and set of beliefs, would behave in whatever situation you find yourself in game. Recently, I played Daggerfall for the first time. Daggerfall is probably the most true-to-definition RPG I've ever played. Not only is role-playing at the forefront of nearly every action taken while playing, but the world itself is steep with lore, personality, and of course is realistically massive. The towns and cities you visit are not meant for the player. They are meant for the citizenry who live there. When you boot up Daggerfall, you are in essence taking a step into what it would really be like to live in the Iliac Bay as an adventurer. I love modern Elder Scrolls games, that's no secret, but in the community, we often mention our suspense of disbelief. For example, we all know that it does not take 25 minutes to ride across Skyrim, and the Imperial City looks more like this than this. In Daggerfall, that suspense of disbelief doesn't exist, or at least it does in a very minimalized form. The game world isn't a representation, it is the Iliac Bay. Your character isn't the Dragonborn or the Witcher. They are simply whoever you imagine them to be. My favorite character was a wood elf who enjoyed being in the rainforest and taking shiny things from other people. I know, fantastic character building, no need to compliment me. The game is built in such a way where you can imagine an in-character reason for participating in anything, including the main story, regardless of your character's personality. And ignoring the main story doesn't make you feel like the world is plastic and waiting for you. If you ignore the main story, you are simply labeled a traitor. and the game world moves on without you. I know this is long-winded at this point, but what I'm trying to get at is the developers of Daggerfall understood not only the true definition of RPGs, but they also strived to create a game far, far ahead of its time, to deliver the player the truest experience of playing a fantasy character. It clearly wasn't developed to check any mandatory corporate boxes. Before playing it, I've always felt that there'd be a major suspense of disbelief to enjoy any game. But Daggerfall has shifted my view of what an RPG can truly be. Now, that would be a very disappointing revelation since Daggerfall is nearly 30 years old and nothing has come close to it in all of those years. But there is a silver lining. The Wayward Realms. If you haven't yet heard of this project, The Wayward Realms is a fantasy RPG being developed by OnceLost Games. OnceLost Games was founded by Ted Peterson and the late Julian LeFay. If you are at all familiar with the Elder Scrolls lore, I'm sure you know these names. I mean, take a look at this insane list of books that Peterson worked on for the Elder Scrolls. I couldn't believe it when I saw this. Known as the fathers of the Elder Scrolls, they set out to make a new game which will be, in essence, a spiritual successor to Daggerfall. I think the best introduction, though, for the studio is what they have written on their website. OnceLost Games is an independent game development studio dedicated to reinvigorating the role-playing game genre with much-needed new ideas. Founded by veterans with over 2 generations of gaming expertise, we aim to meet the gap between the deep, complex design pillars of games from the 90s with the production values, improved controls, and quality of life features found in games today. The Wayward Realms intends not only to revitalize the RPG genre by restoring the essence of role-playing, but it will break the boundary of what we believe is possible in a video game, just as Daggerfall did. This game is still very early in development, but the work accomplished already without a publisher, and I believe being primarily crowdfunded via Kickstarter, is very impressive. On their website and wiki, you can find plenty of in-depth lore that oozes that Elder Scrolls style intrigue and charm that we're also familiar with. I also highly recommend taking a look at some of their concept art and watching some of their devlogs on YouTube and various interviews, as what is planned will blow your mind. Playing Daggerfall taught me that it is possible for an expansive world space to feel real and lived in. It made me realize that you can play a character with an incredibly focused and niche concept without having to pretend you're not what the game is telling you to be, such as the Dragonborn. Beyond anything else, Daggerfall promotes character freedom, and when an RPG is dedicated to that, the genre shines. I know it's early, but The Wayward Realms seeks to replicate that ethos in a modern and, might I add, beautiful package. I'll also mention here that I'm not usually one to get my hopes up for games. We've all been burned far too many times by early access cash grabs, but for the first time in my life, I can say I have backed this game on Kickstarter, and cannot wait to get my hands on an early access build. This is because I trust OnceLost Games fundamentally. The development team seems to be made up of great people who truly have a passion for RPGs and want to not only succeed in this business endeavor, but also they seem to truly want to see this project become a reality, since it is the epitome of a massive role-playing game with endless possibilities, and what gamer doesn't love the sound of that? As I mentioned in my Daggerfall review, modern gaming has been lacking charm and daring for quite some time. The only example I've played and can think of breaking out of the market's shell is Kingdom Come Deliverance. Both games in the series are unique in a sea of competition, and I think that the success of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 proves that players want to stop being treated like cattle to be shooed around. We want someone to come out and show us something unapologetic and new. I believe that will be OnceLost Games. I hope you have all enjoyed this short video, and I especially hope that a few of you are hearing of this game for the first time here and are now looking forward to it. Leave a comment below about how you feel about the Wayward Realms. What do you hope is in the game? Or maybe more importantly to some, what do you hope isn't in the game? This whole video's idea crept into my head just this morning, and I just started writing, so I hope it wasn't too scatterbrained for you guys. Either way, I have been Sir Schmib. I wish you all a beautiful day. Until next time.